Not a single thing that wasn't affected by COVID, from football, the NFL, to hockey, to baseball, but nothing was more affected than pro wrestling. Wrestling was turned upside down. And the reason because of that, the reason is because wrestling lives and dies by its fans. The way wrestlers come out, the when they hear the boos or hear the cheers, I've heard that there's nothing worse for a wrestler than to hear nothing at all. Well, when COVID was going on, that's exactly what every wrestler heard, was nothing at all. Because you can still score a touchdown when there's no fans. You can still hit a home run when there's no fans. But you cannot get a reaction, which wrestling is all about reactions. You cannot get a reaction when there's no fans. It kills wrestling with no fans. COVID almost killed wrestling. Hell, it killed Ring of Honor. At least the Ring of Honor that isn't owned by Tony Khan. The actual, when it was an individual company, Ring of Honor's dead because of COVID. I will never forget Ring of Honor versus CZW. One of the better storylines in pro wrestling history, only beaten by the NWO. That company's dead. The company that made that is now dead because of COVID. COVID annihilated pro wrestling. And me personally, I quit watching wrestling. I couldn't take it. There was nothing, it just wasn't the same to see wrestlers come out in empty arenas. It sucked. It was horrible. And it almost killed my fandom. I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there's plenty of fans that lost their fandom because of COVID. COVID, like I said, it killed Ring of Honor, which was one of my childhood pleasures as a wrestling fan. It killed so much. And what brought me back to wrestling was I I started hearing rumors about TNA getting a TV deal, and I was like, I'm not really on board with getting back into wrestling. It takes up too much of my life. Because wrestling does. It eats my life. Wrestling is my life. When I wake up, I read the wrestling news. The last thing I do before I go to bed is read the wrestling news. So wrestling consumes my life. So I'm like, do I really want to put that back in my life? I've gotten off wrestling and it's a drug. And I'm going to get back on wrestling. Back on the drug. Getting my fix. So when it comes to how I feel about that, I wasn't quite sure. But anyways, so I started saying, if TNA gets a TV deal, I'm definitely getting back on board. So the rumors started circulating that TNA was looking for a TV deal. And I started watching Impact regularly again. And from there, ultimately, we all know that their deal with AMC has been announced. I'm ecstatic. I cannot wait. So that's how COVID almost killed my fandom as a pro wrestling fan. I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure there's tons of people that quit watching wrestling that will never come back. And it sucks. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on how COVID affected my professional wrestling experience. I'm sure it affected yours too. I'm Kent Jones. I'm signing off.